Welcome back to Africa This Week. Often in a habit of holding a stick over the shoulders with a faded hat on the head and a not-too-concealed dagger by the waist, herdsmen are a common sight across Nigeria, guiding a herd of cattle in search of greener pastures to graze upon. But that impression of a harmless nomad seems to be in the past, as communal clashes in recent times are now credited to suspected cattlemen who go outside their trade to kill and destroy. Joining me to dig deep on Africa This Week is Achike Chude, a political analyst and social commentator. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Now, what are your thoughts on the recent killings and growing security concerns in Nigeria?
I don't know whether my thoughts should be that of is a concern or more of anger. You know, that this has
express
continued,
whatever emotion you have.
this has continued unabated. Yeah. That those in authority who should be able to nip this in the bud and bring perpetrators to book are seemingly not doing anything about it. You know, from Taraba State to Benue State to Plateau State, we've had, I mean, in Jos, the other time it was Enugu State, then parts of Ondo State and the rest. It seems to be spreading. Parts of Ondo State and the rest. It seems to be spreading. You know, so that containment and curtailment of...
And most recently, Kogi State.
Yeah, Kogi State recently, a few days ago, about 25 people. Yeah. All of them, you know, killed in cold blood. I mean, it's upsetting. It's upsetting. I don't know what kind of excuses can be given anymore. But I think that the government has not been able to do something meaningful, something that has satisfied Nigerians that, yes, it is really, you know, it has acted in the best interest of Nigerians. It has acted in consonance with the constitution of this country, which says that the primary responsibility of government is the welfare and security, you know, of the citizens of this country. They have not been able to guarantee that.
All right, but what is responsible for, I mean, this presumed lingering insecurity despite all efforts to salvage it by the military?
Well, there was this statement that was credited to the former military dictator, Sani Abacha. I don't know how true it is, that when an insurgency in a country like Nigeria is not contained within 24 hours, then the government has a hand in it. And by that, he's talking about perhaps principal, you know, people within the government. It might sound outrageous, but the fact that this has continued unabated, in spite of the millions of dollars that have been put into, you know, curbing this, the fact that they still move about at will, causing mayhem and destruction, and they have not been caught. The perpetrators have not been caught. I'm not aware that one very prominent headsman, for instance, or leader of the headsmen involved in these atrocities has been caught in this country and prosecuted. So when you see all of these things happening, and there is no serious attempt, you know, to contain it, and then to bring perpetrators to book, you want to ask yourself, you can only, you know, surmise, so you can only come with the submission or the conclusion that the security agencies and authorities in this country are completely overwhelmed, you know, and that they are not, you know, on top of the game. That is the only conclusion, because, you know, rather than contain them within particular, you know, geographical settings in the country, and then try to hem them in and then deal with them and cut them off and destroy them, we see them spreading all over the country. And of course, what you see in their wake is death and destruction and all of that. Yeah. So you tend to begin to think that there is something much more deeper than what some of us are seeing. How are they getting the weapons? You have all kinds of scenarios where people are postulating that even some of those weapons are military, you know, grade AK-47s, you know, rifles from the Nigerian armory of the Nigerian army and so on. And then you ask her, how possible is it? Then you also talk about...
It's the same way Boko Haram too has all this ammunition that actually belong to the Nigerian military.
So you also look at, again, the DSS. What exactly is the DSS doing? Because this battle is not exactly the conventional battle that modern armies fight, you know, and then the outcome is dependent on tactics, strategy, and then of course the sophistication of the weapons that are used. Yes. In this, you know, contest, it should be more of because you can sometimes it's difficult to hit what you don't see. You know, so what it means is that you need more of clandestine operations, and the agency best suited for that is the DSS. Penetrate some of these groups, ferret out as much information as you can from this group, and give them to the authorities so that they can move in against these people.
But so referring to your quote by the former military ruler, Sani Abacha, has there been any insurgency in the country that has been abated within 24 hours?
No, simply because of the same reason that has been given by Sani Abacha that we are quoting here. I mean, you're talking about the militancy, for instance, in the Niger Delta. You're talking about the Boko Haram insurrection. You're talking about the herdsmen killing and all of that. And then if you look deep into all of these things, you will see the actions, you will see the activities of politicians also fueling some of this things that's going on. Of course, we all know that the former the former governor of Rivers State at the time was implicated even by some in the confessions by some of the militants that he had a hand in bringing them up, you know, for political purposes or expediency. Same thing with Boko Haram also. The former government in that state has also in a way been implicated. And of course, we also are aware that the SSS at the time, DSS at the time, told us that they had trapped this man, they had caught him, Mohammed Yusuf at the time, the former leader of Boko Haram, and then arrested him and brought him to Abuja. And then they got a phone call from somewhere within the labyrinth of government, and then to set him free, and he was set free. And then we have all seen what has happened even after that. You know, sometimes you tend to feel a little bit, you tend to have some sympathy for security forces, you know, because when some of these activities too, in a way, are also being dictated to by some of the political actors in the country, it becomes very difficult for them to do their job. Indeed it does.
We had the Chibok girls, and then now we have the Dapchi girls scenario. But let's look at this now, and it's very quickly. How would you assess government reactions and strategy to all these issues?
It's been abysmal. It's not been
anything commendable, reliable, efficient?
No, I will not use those words. I mean, the very fact that this thing is spreading, the very fact that more people are dying in different locations and so on, really tells you that government response has not been up to scratch. And there are no two ways. I can tell you that, look, the government and the security forces have done commendably well. It is the evidence on ground, you understand, that will tell us whether they have been doing something serious and commendable. They have not been able to nip it in the bud. It is spreading to other states and causing more consternation everywhere. So their response has been very abysmal. Like, there are no two ways about it. I can't say, because it's the reality on ground that I'm looking at, and I'm talking on the basis of that reality.
Indeed, and our Inspector General of Police was asked to deploy to another vicinity, and yet he did not even go there. Achike Chude, political analyst and social commentator, I'd like to thank you for joining me on Africa This Week.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Well, after 9 years, the fight against Boko Haram is now at a crucial stage, with reports of the deadly sect being tactically overpowered and technically defeated, looking more like wishful thinking than obvious reality. In the wake of recent herdsmen attacks, the Nigerian government must rise up to the occasion of effectively securing lives and property, ensuring that nomadic mercenaries do not turn out to become the nation's next worst nightmare. I have been your guide, Fadeshola Shotingwa. Many thanks for watching, and bye for now.